Hey everybody, this is Julie with Counting My Spoons. Wanted to do a little live today and talk about tips for traveling with chronic illness. It's that season, as a lot of us are heading out for different reasons, whether to visit family over Thanksgiving or Christmas coming up, or just for vacations. I know a lot of people do vacations in January, as it's off season in a lot of places. Anyway, so I'm heading to Vegas next week over Thanksgiving. Kind of vacation, I guess. My boyfriend's going for a conference the week after, so we decided to go out a little bit early. And so that got me thinking about traveling and getting everything ready. And I thought that would be a really good topic for us to jump on here and talk about a little bit. So I put down some thoughts, and I think I'll go through those. And you feel free to jump in with any comments or questions as you have them, and I'll answer if I can or share your comments so that others can, learn from them as well. So your trip starts before you ever leave. Make sure you start with proper planning. Big thing is, don't box yourself in with your planning. Plan for what you really want to do, but also plan for downtime. So, with our trip to Vegas, we're going to be there for about 5 days. And we've got 2 shows that we're planning to go to. But other than that, we don't really have any set plans. So we can actually kind of work around. If we feel like just taking it easy, we can take it easy. And if we want to do something a little bit more active, we can do that. The main thing is, you don't want to rush it. You don't want to constantly have something planned every minute of the day so that you leave your vacation more tired than you arrived. The whole point is to go on vacation and to relax. And you can't do that if you're constantly going. What I find helpful is to really not even plan to do anything on the day that I arrive. This is good for a few reasons. One, if your arrival's late, then that kind of throws off all your plans. And the other is, a lot of times just traveling alone is more than stressful and more than tiring. So you get there and all you really want to do is rest. Of course, if you get there and you've got the energy and you want to go do something, great, you can go do it. But don't plan it ahead of time. Don't lock yourself into something that you're not going to feel like doing. And in the end, you might not get to see and do everything you want to do on this one trip, but that just gives you reason to come back later. So another thing on planning is to talk to your doctor before you leave and get a letter that details your health issues and your medications. And this is really a just in case CYA type thing, so that if something happens while you're gone and you have a medical emergency, you can provide that. And it's kind of just a short form of your health history that you can provide, and it lets any other new doctor that you're seeing know what's going on with you, so they know how to treat properly. The chances of needing it are low, but better safe than sorry. Also in planning, packing. Packing's a really important piece of that. Sorry, I'm choking up. And this is my cat. He wants to be in the video. So when you start packing, don't just look at what the weather is expected to be while you're there. Consider all the contingencies. If you're going to Jamaica and it's supposed to be hot, that doesn't mean that they might not have a cold front move in and you end up wishing you had a sweater and some long pants. So, while the bulk of your packing should be for the expected weather, make sure you've got a few things to cover yourself in case things aren't the way that you expect them to be. Another thing that I like to do is to bring snacks. Whether I'm, traveling by car or by plane, I at least bring snacks with me. If I'm traveling by car, sometimes I'll bring a whole cooler, and we've actually gone so far as to bring a microwave. So we usually try and pick a hotel that has, both a microwave and a fridge in the room, because this saves money, and it makes it a whole lot easier to stick to, my dietary needs. And typically what I do is just at least bring stuff for breakfast, so that way I'm not feeling rushed and having to, jump out and go find places for breakfast and things like that. I can just take my time. But even if I'm going by plane, I make sure that I take at least snacks with me. And, this is mainly just because I don't want to be a hangry traveler. Airports options are minimal and they're extremely expensive. I can get those same things before I leave and take them through the gate with me for just a fraction of the price. So when it comes to airports, what I've found are a few things that really help me. I've gone back and forth on whether it's worth it to, save money by going from a further airport. We've got, I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. We've got airports 2 hours away, north and south, that are bigger and have more options, and typically a lot cheaper to fly out of. But if I fly out of Nashville or Birmingham, chances are pretty good that I'm going to end up needing to go the night before and get a hotel, plus pay for parking, and it ends up becoming a whole lot more expensive. Plus, there's that 2-hour drive there and back surrounding the flight. So, if I pay a little bit more and fly out of my close airport, then it ends up paying off in the end because I'm not wearing myself out more by adding that 2-hour drive on either side, especially if I end up coming in late. And, in the end, what I found is the cost difference of getting a hotel and paying for gas really doesn't offset the cost of the cheaper price airfare enough to make it worth choosing that further airport. So sometimes even when it saves money, it's just not worth it for the extra cost and stress surrounding the time spent. Another thing I find helpful is to make sure I plan my layovers. It's real easy to just book your flights based on, the shortest time to get from point A to point B. But when I do that, sometimes what happens is I don't look at the layover times and I end up with like a 30-minute layover. And typically they start boarding at 30 minutes to 20 minutes before. So, you end up feeling rushed and you're running through the airport. And depending on which airport you're in, that just isn't enough time. So make sure you give yourself enough time to get from your gates. I like, a good hour on my layovers just to make things easier. Another thing I found is that checking my bags is worth it. It's, my cat keeps wanting in here. Typically, you're having to pay now to check bags, but it's worth it for that $25 to not have to lug them through the airport. The downside, of course, is that, you risk having your bag lost, especially if something happens and your flight gets messed up, and that you don't have everything with you. But, a piece of that is just making sure that you plan and pack your carry-on properly. In addition to checking your bag, I would say check your ego. Don't be scared to ask for help in the airport. They have those golf carts that get people from gate to gate for a reason. If you feel like you need it, stop and ask the gate attendant and get help getting through your gates. If you need extra time to board, jump up and do it when they offer that. Or, if you find it's better to wait until everybody else is on so that you're not in line and standing and fighting with everything, wait. You've got to go with what's best for you. Along with that, make sure that you choose your seat wisely. There's pros and cons to, window versus aisle versus middle. I'm not sure if there's any real pros to middle, but, window, yeah, you've got the view and you can lean against the wall if you need to. Aisle, if you're like me and you need to get up and pee every 30 minutes, aisle's going to be your friend. I don't like asking people to move. So I feel really uncomfortable being on the inside and having to get up and move around. So it's better for me to sit on the aisle. Another thing you can do is wear noise canceling headphones while you're on the plane and while you're traveling. This kind of helps block out some of the people, especially if you're an introvert and you find that just all the extra stimulation and everything bothers you. Do that and it just makes things a little bit easier. So speaking of the carry-on, you're allowed 2 carry-ons, so use them wisely. This can be your laptop bag and a backpack. It can be your purse and a backpack. It can be whatever combination of things that you want, so long as one fits under your seat and one fits in the overhead. I've found, because last year I got stuck overnight in Dallas and was not prepared. That was the last time that I didn't check my bag on my own. At the time I was like, oh yeah, I can not check my bag, and then if I get to the gate, then chances are they're going to ask me to check my bag, and they're going to do it for me for free, so I can save 25 bucks. Except that I hadn't planned properly, so I didn't have everything I needed in my carry-on. And by everything I needed, in that case, it was underwear and it was meds. So make sure that those things at the minimum are in your carry-on. I wear a night guard to sleep in, so I have to make sure that's also in my carry-on. Toothbrush, while they'll probably give you one if something happens to your flight, it's going to be a little crappy one, or you can get one from a hotel or whatever. It's just easier to make sure that your own, just put your whole hygiene bag in your carry-on. It makes life a whole lot easier. Again, make sure that you've got snacks in your carry-on, because you don't want to be hungry. You don't want to be sitting on the plane with them offering snacks that you can't eat and be frustrated, or be trying to buy something in the airport that's just too expensive. Always make sure that I have my laptop or a tablet and my phone with me in my carry-on. It gives me something to do. And then, of course, make sure that I have the chargers for all of those things, because it makes no sense to bring them if you don't have chargers. And I made it to Jamaica one time without any of my chargers, and it just ended up being really frustrating. I downsized to a wallet and put that in my carry-on when I travel, instead of carrying my whole big bulky purse of things that I don't really need. And then I also always make sure that I bring my Osco with me, which I have one in here, but I forgot to grab it. I was going to show it to you. Give me just a second. Osco. This is my favorite little pain relieving device, and you can wear it and take it with you anywhere. You can stick it in a pocket, stick it in a purse. As long as it's within 18 inches, it helps. Nothing has really helped my pain like this thing has. And what I like to do is put it in its little strappy thing, which you can, use to strap it onto your arm or leg or whatever. But I actually use this and strap it onto my travel pillow, which is another thing that I always make sure I have with me regardless of how I'm traveling. So, travel pillow. And then I just strap that on like that. And I've got another travel pillow that actually has a little snap right here, so I can put it around my neck and actually wear it through the airport, so it makes it easier to carry. And it also puts Osco right there at my neck, which is, my neck and shoulders are the areas most likely to bother me. And they tend to be what carries all that extra pressure and strain from carrying those bags around. So that's it for my carry-on. The next thing I wanted to talk about is just making sure that you travel in comfort. So that comes down to dressing comfortably, whether that's wearing your pajamas while you travel, which, I used to look at people a little weird when they did that, but now I'm completely okay with it. There's clothes that you can wear that look like real clothes that feel like pajamas, if you want to go that route, so that you feel a little bit more dressed. Also make sure you bring a sweater. It gets cold on airplanes. Person in front of you might have their little fan thing blowing and it ends up blowing straight on you. Whatever the reason, just, it's good to keep a sweater, good to keep a light jacket, something, so that just in case you do get cold, you've got it. And again, bringing that small pillow with you helps out and just makes things a little bit easier. And that pillow has come in handy for me as well once I get to hotels, because 9 times out of 10 hotel pillows for me suck. They're too soft or too firm or too something. And I can just use that neck pillow a lot of times as my main pillow in a hotel and be a lot more comfortable than what they provide. Make sure that you hydrate as you travel. What I do is, if I'm traveling by car, I will take several gallons of water with me, and then I carry a refillable water bottle and refill along the way. If I'm going by plane, I take the same water bottle and I just dump it out before I go through security, because they won't let you take liquids. But then when I get on the other side of security, most airports now have water bottle refill stations. So you can actually refill that for free instead of paying $5 for a liter of water. If I do travel by plane, what I do is once I land, on the way to my hotel, I'll stop somewhere and pick up some more water so that I have it there at the hotel and can refill, because again, most water from the tap at hotels is kind of iffy, and depending on where you're going, you might not want to drink it at all. So once you arrive, the question is, where do you stay? And you know, I know that staying with friends and family can be a lot cheaper, but it might not be worthwhile in the end for the added stress. And it really depends on your friends and family. You know, if you've got friends and family that can provide you with a space of your own and give you the freedom to do what you want to do and not make you feel like you've got to, you know, have them along for the ride constantly or be with them 100% of the time, you know, and you feel like you can actually go and put, you know, into your room, shut the door and have private time, then by all means stay with family or friends and save the money. I generally don't find that to be the case. You know, there's just very few people who really allow that level of freedom and comfort in their home when you're there, or at least for me. So I find it best to just get a hotel room, because that way I have a space that is completely my own. If I get tired, I can go back to my room, I can lay down. I can spend time with them when I feel like spending time with them. I can go and do the things that I want to do, and if they want to join me, great. But I don't feel like I'm working around their schedule or their needs. I'm actually on vacation and doing what I need to do and what makes me happy. You know, and that also helps with keeping your routine, because the last thing you want to do is go on vacation and completely divert from your routine of, you know, the things that you need to eat, the medications you need to take, the schedule you normally sleep on, all of those things, because that's just going to make you feel worse. So, you know, if there's a certain diet that you're following, don't let vacation be an excuse for you to jump off of that. The last thing you want to do is try some food that might bother you while you're on vacation and have it just ruin the whole trip. So try to stick to your diet, even as tempting as it is to not do so. And again, don't forget your meds. What I find really helpful when I'm traveling is to pre-package my meds. So I've got this nifty little pill suite thing, and really all this is a sealer that makes these little baggies of pills. So I can take my sorted pills, stick them in a little baggie, and just pop that in here and squeeze it down, and it seals these so that they can't come out. And then I've got them ready to go, so that while I'm on vacation, I can just pull a little bag out, take what I need to take, and I'm not having to worry about, you know, a pill carton popping open and everything spilling all over my bag or whatever. I've found that thing incredibly helpful. The last thing that I want to talk about is travel insurance. I've tried travel insurance. You know, I thought it was this great idea, only to find out that your standard travel insurance policies that you can buy through whatever airline or TripAdvisor, Travelocity, whatnot, aren't worthwhile. They generally require a note from your doctor detailing why you can't travel, and getting that from a doctor is just about impossible. Most doctors just won't bother with it. So the only travel insurance that's really worthwhile is travel insurance that will cover a cancellation for any reason. And you generally have to go out and look for this on your own through a third party. And, you know, if you're spending enough on a trip, it is worth looking for that. But, you know, it's important to read the details and know exactly what you're getting and what the cost is and what's required for you to actually, you know, get your money back on that trip. So, you know, don't do travel insurance unless, you know, you really dig into it and know what you're doing. Don't waste the money. And I think that's pretty much it for my travel tips. I know there's probably more on my blog. I've got a few blog posts on that. If you go to countingmyspoons.com and just type in travel in the search bar, it'll bring up several posts that have some more tips from me and from other bloggers who have shared their thoughts. And of course, if you've got thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Feel free to comment on this video and jump in and hit me up online. I'd love to hear from you. And let me know what other topics you'd love for me to cover here on Facebook Live. I'd like to do more of these and share them with you. So that's about it for me. Again, this is Julie from Counting My Spoons, and thank you for tuning in.